Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
Welcome back to Legendary Foods Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Wednesday, November 5th, 2020. And let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first November edition of Recap Wednesday. Fall is here and COVID is back in the news, but that doesn't change the fact that we still have a great show to do. So let's start with the Baltimore Masters Pro, where there were a lot of winners in men's bodybuilding. But the biggest winner of the weekend had to be my old friend Keith Williams, who cleaned up big time as the over 35 and over 40 winner. The same could be said for the classic physique winner, Deshaun Glass, who also won the 35 and 40 over classes. In men's physique, former Olympian Michael Ferguson made his first appearance of the year to grab the titles in 35 and 40, as well as reaching back in the time machine to pull out a vintage performance. And here's one you'll want to pay attention to, as Tia Douglas won the titles in the 35 and 40 and over women's bodybuilding and the 35 and 40 women's physique, which might make her the first female or male athlete in the history to win 4 pro events at the same contest in the same weekend. So congratulations. Faye Petricari won the 35 and over figure. And closing out our coverage here is your 35 and over bikini winner, Marika Abadu. We had another Masters event on the slate last week, and only this one was up in the great state of Michigan, where they welcomed in the first annual Central States Pro. In the classic physique division, Ann Arbor's own Vincent Gentile held down the top spot by holding off a strong push from second place finisher Fran Thomas. In men's physique, Arizona's Tony Dionisio locked up his first career win in impressive fashion. Second place went to Ohio's Michael E. Anderson. And wrapping up our top 3 coverage is the aforementioned Fran Thomas, who pulled double duty with top 3 finishes in both classes. The one other place of competition-related news that I want to cover today is about the British Grand Prix and whether or not they'll be able to have it this weekend. In case you haven't heard, last week, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson initiated a countrywide lockdown for the entire month of November to limit the spread of COVID-19 after a rapid spike in cases, hospitalizations, and deaths over the last few weeks. During his press conference, the Prime Minister effectively said that all non-essential facilities would be closing for the next month, which would obviously include any venues for bodybuilding shows. The other thing worth noting here is that the new travel restrictions that we're starting to see again, which could have a major impact on what happens over the next few weeks or so as we get closer to the Olympia. I know Pro League officials had a plan in place a few weeks ago in case something like this might have happened, and that still holds up great. So I'm glad, but I'm also not naive, and I watch the news. I see what's happening around me, and I think we should all be open to the possibility that this is an evolving situation that might get worse before it gets better. No matter how great you were at some point, the ride comes to an end for every athlete. We saw that last weekend in the UFC with Anderson Silva when Uriah Hall put on an unceremonious end to the Hall of Fame career with a 4th round knockout. And as I was watching Anderson in the post-fight interview, I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if we saw the same thing happen to Phil Heath at this year's Olympia. I get the fact that Phil and Anderson are at 2 different points in their careers, and it seems like Phil still has a lot left in the tank. But we've seen this story play out with aging athletes over and over again. We saw it happen with Ronnie in bodybuilding. We're seeing it happen in the NFL now with Drew Brees, and the list goes on and on. At a certain point, it's just over. Father Time wins. He always does. No, does that mean that Phil gets his butt kicked in Vegas? No way, probably not. But it could happen. The story has to end somehow, and for most athletes it doesn't end with them riding off into the sunset. It's just over when it's over, and in 7 weeks we'll see if that's how the final chapter ends up playing out for Phil Heath. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.